Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
My name is Eva C. Jones. Eva C. The C is Chavis.
Okay.
And I was born in Robertson County, right near Pembroke, in June the 28th, 1907.
Maggie Johnson Oxendine. My maiden name is Johnson, you know, Maggie Johnson. I married Oxendine. And I was born May the 13th, 1916, in Wade, North Carolina.
Mabel Oxendine, July 18th, 1915, in Pembroke. I'm Evelyn Cummings, and I was born June the 16th, 1921, in the Saddle Tree area. That's really Lumberton. I'm Clara Chavis Bullard, and I'm the daughter of Oscar and Margie Chavis, who had 14 children, and I am the seventh. I was the seventh from the top and the seventh from the bottom. My daddy, he was born at Burnt Swamp, out around Union Chapel. He married my mother. She was a miner. And he worked for her father, the man that raised her. He went with Jim Thorpe to school for 1 year. And he heard from Grace Thorpe as long as he lived. My mother was a lady that knew how to do everything. She didn't have a lot of education, but she had a lot of common sense and love, and devoted to her family. So we would grow our vegetables, and she would always can. We didn't have the freezers, and we didn't have the other things. And she would can, just many, many jars of vegetables. Then my dad would always have a beef that he'd killed. My father always was one that could tell us exactly what we had to do, and we knew we needed to do it. And like the three oldest ones were boys. So, and then there was a girl and a boy, and then two more girls. So we always had plenty to do the girl jobs and the boy jobs. But lots of times we girls would want to help the boys, and we could do it too. So we learned to do almost anything on the farm.
He was a Baptist preacher. He and one of my uncles, one of his brothers, both preachers. But they believed in children going to church. And he also believed in them sitting down when they went in church and stayed there until church service was over. But let me tell you about going to chess school one time. Some of the larger children had been to the Sodas Pile, and we younger ones were going. They says, "Children, you better not go out there." We saw a man coming out there with a sheet all over him and looking right straight at us. Boys, did that ever give us a fright.
My father went to a half-a-day school. One half a day. When they turned out for lunch, he went home. He didn't ever go back. But my mother she went as far as Indians could go at that time, to 7th grade. She had a 7th grade education. And when she and Papa got married, then she taught him to read and write.
I was the oldest one in the family, and therefore I had the hardship, helping with the children and helping cook and cooking on a wood stove. You know what I'm talking about? To put the wood in there and make a fire. I don't know how we ever did it.
Well, you know what we did with it? If you got a nail stuck in your foot, you'd either bind a piece of potato on it or a penny. White potato, you just take a slice of white potato and put it on where the nail stuck, and then bend it up. And the next morning, that potato would be as black as your jacket.
When I got the shingles, I didn't know what it was. So I went to the doctor, and he said, "You got the shingles." And I said, "Hubert, get out right now and find us a black chicken." So he did. And I just had a few spots. So he put the blood on my face, and I covered my face, and next morning they were gone.
Well, like chicken pox, they let the chickens, put the child in the chicken's pen, let the chickens fly out over it. And for measles, they use sassafras tea. Cause them to break out, give it to them warm, and it would cause them to break out.
The chicken pox, let the chickens fly over your head. And it was the cutest thing, day before yesterday, I'd never heard it before, but this lady says, "Now, if that's chicken pox that child's got, give him a cup of hot chocolate tonight, and he'll have more bumps." So his mother gave him night before last a cup of hot chocolate. Yesterday morning he had no bumps, so I said, "There's no chicken pox now."
My mother always doctor us for colds, and give us whiskey and honey for a cold, and if we get a deep cold, she'd put what she called a greasy jacket on us, and it had sage, beeswax, and tallow. Maybe that's all, but I know it would stink.
Oh, this Sharon, she said when she had chicken pox, we had a chicken kibach on there, and we had a bunch of chickens, and she was just all broke out with the bumps, and I took her out there and put her in the chicken coop, closed the door, and then when I got in there, I let the chickens go out. Those bumps cleared right up.
There's 7 of us living now. My oldest sister is 91. That's going to cold. Yeah. And the baby is about 65. And we were spaced, just about all of us, 2 years apart. And back then what the birth control is that mother letting them nurse, and as long as the baby nursed, they couldn't get pregnant anymore.
For we were farmers, you see, and raised our own vegetables and stuff. The only thing that really bothered that much was gasoline. It was rationed. If you had a public job, you'd get so much so you could go to your job, but you didn't get an excess amount, for just to ride and visit. You didn't get that.
Well, they'd say maybe by the number of children in your home, they would give you so much sugar. And they would give you these coupons. And, when you used those up, not money, but that you could go to show that you hadn't used so much sugar. They'd have it allotted to you. And I think they had it on the meats and some of the other foods. But to me, sugar was the most important because I always loved sweets. We always loved our sweets. But my brother, my second oldest brother, had his own business right on down on 301 going towards Roland. And he would be lucky enough to have a little gas. And then the people that didn't use much gas or something would let him, or he would let them have food for their coupons or whatever. And in that way, we were lucky enough to get a little more stuff than most people would have because he owned his own business.
But I had 4 brothers in service, and that was enough. Sim went over in 1939, and he went on 25 bombing missions over Berlin. He had it rough over there. He was there when it was so rough. And then my other brothers, Howard went. Earl went before Howard did. And then Jesse. And then Harry got into the reserves. But it was rough. My daddy tried every way that he could to keep him out, but couldn't do anything about it.
Well, until they had immigration, the Indian people had a hard time with the white people. They'd mistreat them and call them Croatans and things that they figured would hurt them. Couldn't go in a restroom. They wouldn't let you go in a restroom, nor a restaurant. They just didn't mingle with you. The mayor of this town was appointed by the governor. But I don't remember what year they started electing them, The white people wouldn't let that happen. We didn't get an Indian mayor until we could elect one.
And Mr. J.R. sent a telegram. He couldn't call, didn't have telephones and all. He sent a telegram and asked me if I would come home and work in the post office. Well, the folks I live with, they just thought I'd be crazy to leave Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and come to Pembroke, And the post office was just a little, they called it the chicken coop, a little place. And it was during the war. Ooh, all that mail. APO and FPOs, I'll never forget it. And when we get the mail in, we would sort the mail and put it in people's boxes. But something back then that's not going on now, there's a train 75. They call it 75. It would come from up north. And this would come around 11 o'clock every day. And we would fix that mail up, the southbound mail. And they would hang that mail out on a pole, and that train would come by and pull it in, take it on. And now they have trucks, of course, They don't use the trains any. And of evening, this railroad right out here was 13. And we'd fix out the evening mail, and it would go to Lumberton, you see.
And so she called me the other day, and he says, you know, Mabel, 50 years ago today, I was on the Queen Mary coming home. And when Papa got this news, the man down at the train station was a real close friend of Papa's. And he sent a message to me, but I didn't get it while I was on the train. I don't know what happened to it. But, yeah, everybody was so glad, you know, that this was over. But when I got to New York, Philadelphia, that place was in an uproar. The war was over. And everybody was so thrilled and everything.
They come home, and in just a little while they left and went to, well, both of my brothers went to Detroit and worked in, you know, the plants and where they make cars. Chrysler and plants like that. After they went to war and come back, they could get to go to college, you know, then. And a lot of them then went to college that wouldn't have if they hadn't gone in service.
I had a good time. I had a hard-working daddy. And we just stayed home, went to school, went to church, and that was mostly what we did. Never asked him but for one thing that I didn't get, and that was a bicycle. And he waited till I was 56 years old to get that. But my second husband bought it for me. But it's been great here. I've had a good life.
When we've been